Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexalex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. I actually had the urge to play a little more Centurion and decided to just go ahead and go with the super heavy samurai variant again. I actually had quite a bit of fun playing this last time, so I wanted to make a couple of minor updates to the deck and also just, again, run it back just because I had so much fun. The changes that we've made have actually mostly been to the extra deck. Stardust Dragon and Cyframe Lord Omega are in. Stardust Dragon is not just in because of the fancy art or royal finish, but does actually have an actual application in particularly the super heavy lines, because when you are going for the Baron de Fleur in the super heavy line, you will very often hit your 5th summon when you summon the Excel Stardust, and of course, also when the Motorbike comes back, that'll usually end up being the 6th summon, right? That's usually when your opponent Nibiru's you. But if you are playing the Stardust Dragon in your extra deck, you actually get to activate the Excel effect and then quick synchro for the Baron de Fleur. And as we all very well know from Synchron experience, the Excel Stardust effect makes the synchro summoned monster this way unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So you get to summon out the Baron de Fleur anyway, and then also it becomes unaffected, so it is not going to get eaten alive by the Nib. That's the application of the Stardust in the extra deck. It's pretty specific, but the card that we had in here beforehand was also very more specific, and that was Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden, which was in here exactly for Primera to link into, to then go into SP to get the banish. But honestly, I never personally encountered a situation where I had to have that. I could see how it could come up, certainly. I don't think it's bad, but did not have it come up myself. The other card that we ended up taking out was the Abyss Dweller, because really the rank 4 Baguska play, and in turn also the Dweller play, is kind of like, if you get hand trapped, you can just pivot and go into a rank 4 instead. But while both of these are capable of blanking turns, the Baguska is the safer option for doing that. Dweller, unless I know I'm in the right matchup, I'm not just going to go into this blind and hope that this alone will be enough to stop my opponent's turn. But the Baguska can do that a lot more often, right? And then again, the card that we put in instead was Cyframe Lord Omega. Not only good with the Gamma and Driver, of course, but also because we are playing the Dissipator, we could potentially get some hand looping action going. On top of that, also, I have had times where I'm able to synchro for level 8, but then I didn't really have, like, a great target. Like, I could go into, like, Stardust, but honestly, we've kind of hit a point where Stardust Dragon is not really the best inboard piece. I mean, of course, when Stardust Dragon first debuted, it was a phenomenal card. It was like, you know, there weren't really many other cards out there like it, but nope, it has sadly been power crept. Not useless. The effect is actually still quite good. It's decent, but suffice it to say, I think the hand rip from Cyframe Lord Omega does end up being quite a bit better there. What else do we change? Oh yeah, in the main deck, I actually put in a second Big Banky, because we did have that one game last time where we opened the Big Banky plus the Wakaushi, and then we weren't really... I mean, we actually still made plays in that game, and we still won it, but it would have been easier if we had the second Big Banky in the extra deck. And then the card that we took out was MF6, which, like, I've been including this card for a while in Centurion decks just because I see it in, like, a lot of Centurion decks, but the more time goes on, the more kind of pointless I feel this card is. Like, I know it's not completely pointless. Of course, there are situations often in grind games where this kind of effect is useful, but in all the games I've played every single variant of Centurion, I don't think I've ever had a time where I'm like, oh boy, I'm really glad MF6 is in my deck. So I think this is, well, this has definitely come out of this build, and I think it's probably going to start coming out of the builds en masse here. Otherwise, the build is relatively the same, or not relatively, well, relatively except for those cards I just mentioned. The build is otherwise the same. For those who didn't catch the last video, there's not really any kind of tricky combo lines that we're really doing here. If you're familiar with both Super Heavy and Centurion, then you can play this deck. We usually start with the Super Heavy line to kind of bait out some interaction, but not only that, but also because that while we're making the super heavy cards, we actually have the ability to synchro for 12, which can go into Auxilia, which can grab your stand-up Centurion, which can then let you also then go into Centurion plays, right? So that's kind of how the two archetypes intersect. You can make Centurion stuff at the end of the super heavy line, but it is also really easy to just open, like, you know, something like Wakaushi and then stand up. And then, again, we're just using our super heavy plays as bait, which the opponent will pretty much always take because people are really, really scared of this deck. I mean, it's not even just that. Like, I mean, this stuff is good to interact with, right? Like, if I saw my opponent lead with, like, a Wakaushi, I would use my hand traps to stop it. It's not like people are misplaying when they're doing that, but we're kind of taking advantage of the fact that they have to kind of do that. They have to interact with our super heavy stuff, and then we can just go into stand-up Centurion or other follow-up plays anyway, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the deck here. And again, you know, I addressed this in the last video, but if you haven't seen the last one, you might think, like, a super heavy samurai deck with spell and trap cards in it? What the heck? Well, it's actually pretty easy to play this deck without really ever getting spell and trap cards in your graveyard. Because if you look at the ones that we are playing, a lot of it is like counterplay to hand traps, which I think is worth shutting off. It only shuts off some of your effects too. There are still some super heavy effects you can activate even with spell and trap cards in your yard, but Emblema Oath is like just to get our plays going. For that reason, I would definitely save Emblema Oath for as long as possible, right? Like, even if you're not necessarily holding any super heavy cards, if you open like Primera and Emblema Oath, I would go for plays through Primera and try not to use the Emblema Oath, right? But again, they don't really end up conflicting. I've never had a situation while playing this deck where I'm like, ah, dang, I can't do anything with my super heavy stuff because I have spell and trap cards in my yard, and now that's going to cause me to lose the game. I've yet to come across that situation, so. What else is worth mentioning here? I guess Tilting Entertainment is a card that actually I think could be cut from the extra. I personally have still yet to make this, but this card is decent not only in regular super heavy, but especially in this variant because we can synchro for 8 and then we can use this effect to grab the penned monster from the extra deck, that of course being Wakaushi, which is level 4 tuner, and then 4 plus 8 is 12, which is Auxilia, which searches the stand-up, boom, you have a Centurion board. So that's the idea behind that. I think it's pretty sound. I think I still like it better than Artemis and Abyss Dweller, so it's going to stay in for the time being, but yeah, I feel like everything else here is fairly self-explanatory. You could also play slightly different hand traps if you wanted to. Like, I'm on Drolls, but I thought about switching to Ghost Ogres as well. Is of course quite good in this meta. So, alright, let's go ahead and start looking at these duels. Alright, let's go ahead and jump into our first game here. This one's going to be a pretty good, from what I remember, this is like a pretty good example of like how this kind of style of deck wants to play out its games. So, I'd like to lead off with those here. Taking the first turn. Still in the Duelist Cup because, like, I picked up all of the major missions I wanted to, but it's like, I still have those, you know, very minor, like, 10 gem missions. And normally I wouldn't go out of my way to go for those, but it's like, if I'm just going to be getting games for videos and, like, ranked ladder anyway, like, I don't know. I don't really have any plans to hit Master 1 this season, so. Oh, that's right, this game we're going to get Max Seed, so. That is one thing that's also very, very nice about this deck as compared to, like, a regular Super Heavy Samurai deck, for example. Super Heavy Samurai pretty much just has to hope to pivoting into the Baguska for its Max C plays, but Centurion actually does have the option to still set up the Legatia here. And I do remember now our opponent's actually going to be on Math Mech here. I realized that as soon as they went for the Small World, revealed Bell and then Valor to go for the Math Mech Circular here. So, at this point, I have a decision to make, right? Because I have two very conflicting hand traps in my hand. I have Droll and Lockbird as well as Max C. Now, of course, if I Max C, I'm not going to be able to get draws, or I'm going to get draws, but then I'm not going to really be able to use Droll and Lockbird to shut off draws, because then I'll shut myself off as well. And that's also the same reason why if I Droll, Max C isn't really an option. So this is a situation where you have multiple hand traps where matchup knowledge is so important. I talked about this a lot in my hand trap guide video, but knowing how your opponent's deck plays is so critical so often of the time to knowing which hand trap to activate. So I'm quite familiar with Math Mech, and I know that outside of Circular and Alimbertian Search, Math Mech does not really care about Droll and Lockbird at all. And especially going second, it is not difficult at all for them to OTK with 0 searches. So I will not be drolling when this Small World gets activated. And in fact, I will not be drolling this entire turn. So Circular is going to send Sigma. I'm going to, of course, chain Max C here. but I'm also going to chain the Trudea. I'm actually going to go for the Legatia on the circular pretty much as soon as it hits the board. The reason for this is because we not only, of course, take away a body from the circular, but we also take away the equation that the circular would search when the Sigma is summoned, which is another body they're not going to have access to. So this actually takes 2 bodies away from the Mathmech player, not just 1. Ash Blossom was a fantastic first draw here. If they end up needing to go for like a Synapse Mining or an Almbertian here, which is in fact what they're going to do. Getting the steady stream of draws off of Max C. Now, I do wish, of course, that I would have held on to the Nib instead of the Droll here, going first with the stand-up pitch, but I think in a vacuum, it's safer to bet that the Droll plus Max C will be useful than as opposed to Max C plus Nib. Even though I guess I did have pretty limited board presence, I guess there was an argument to keep the Nib here. Of course, if I knew I was playing against Mathmech, I'd 100% keep the Nib, but I don't think we're going to actually end up beating it here, so... Here goes Almbertian. We're going to, of course, pitch the Ash Blossom, and this does, I believe, yeah, this forces them to have another Extender here as their last card, but Mathmech has a lot of them, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They're going to Tribute to bring back the Circular, and then normal Multiplication, so they do end up getting the Circular Search for Equation. Now they're going to link off the Multiplication plus Circular to go into the Splash Mage. And it's actually on this special summon that I end up drawing the Effect Veiler, which is actually kind of the main hand trap I was hoping to get here to stop their play. It's kind of the main one I really have at all, the only option I really have in order to be able to do stuff. Now, if you Veilered the Splash Mage here, that would not be a bad play. What the opponent would probably have to do at this point would be Equation for the Multiplication, and then link that off for Link Decoder, go into Transcode, Transcode F to bring back the Splash Mage. Of course, Link Decoder comes back by its own effect. From there, they have the option to either go into the Terahertz or to then go into Heat Soul, which I was actually kind of scared of the latter, right? I didn't want them to be in a situation where they go Transcode Heat Soul and get a couple of draws. I mean, I'll get more draws, so it probably doesn't matter here, but what I ultimately decided to do is not even activate the Effect Veiler. That looks really weird, but what I actually want them to do here is commit them to an OTK line and then blank the OTK. Because here at this stage, oh my god, I could actually talk about... Don't even get me started about theoretical Mathmech boards. So... here, our opponent's going for a Terahertz OTK, but they actually also could have set up an Update Jammer Access Code OTK if they had Splash Mage for the monster back, but instead of going for Link Decoder, just activate Equation, and then link the 2 monsters into Update Jammer, boom boom, Access Code. I would want to save the Veiler for the Access Code there. In an open game state, I could use it, and that would, of course, blank the effect as well as the attack boost, which would not even let it get over the Legatia. That's a pretty ideal scenario, but even in this situation where they're going for the Terahertz, right, because they already have the Multiplication in the yard, they have to bring that back with the Equation. And I thought they were going to do that, yeah, they have to do it here, after the Terahertz, because Terahertz needs to be Chainlink 1, or at the very least, Terahertz needs to get its buff first, and then the Multiplication needs to go through, or by Chainlink 2, I mean, so... So here I'm just going to Veiler the Terahertz. I think my opponent actually just straight up concedes here, because this is no longer an OTK. We also did get a second Effect Veiler and all that as well, but... yeah, so I misspoke earlier. Terahertz would need to be Chainlink 1, Multiplication would need to be Chainlink 1, and then Terahertz Chainlink 2. Or, the way my opponent was going to do it is activate Terahertz to double, then link off Multiplication for, like, Lingaribo, and then double a Terahertz attack. But... excuse me, I had to take a sip of water there. Whew. But, because I negated the Terahertz with Veiler, even if they link off the Multiplication, it can only get up to 6,000 attack, which is definitely not enough to OTK, especially through my 2,500 attack Legatia. And, you know, I think I might have enough cards here to come back on the crackback turn. So, there you go. There is that first game there. Not only did we play through a Max C, but then using our own Max C to navigate hand traps through the opponent's Mathmech board ended up being quite important. All right, let's take a look at the next duel. This one might be a mirror. I don't remember if this game is, but I know I played quite a few mirrors during this play session. I've noticed not only in my own personal games, but also... oh, we're going second here, okay. But also just looking at statistics on, like, Untapped and stuff that... Centur-ion is quite a popular deck. Okay, no, this is U-Bell, never mind. Centur-ion is quite the popular deck, and it's kind of interesting that the popularity has only continued to increase, but you know, on something like Master Duel, you can definitely expect that quite a bit more, you know, where people can play more stuff on ladders. So our Yubel opponent here didn't really end on too much. They normal summoned Gravescormer, went into Link Karibo with a K, and then shuffled that back with, I think, an original Yubel? Yeah, from their hand to go for the Phantom. So we have the call by, so I'm not really concerned about the Phantom at all. I'm going to normal summon Soul Piercer here, and then link it off for the Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. I could have just normal summoned Primera, but like I said, I want to do the Super Heavy plays. They're good and fun, but mostly good. Well, they're both good. Alright, so they got the Maxi here. I'm going to throw out the Ash Blossom. Opponent's going to chain the Phantom, and we're of course going to call by the Phantom. I guess we could, in theory, call by the Maxi, but then they would still get the Yubel monster, so... Okay, so here they're going to activate the Eternal Favorite, and unfortunately for them, nothing is going to happen. Now, I understand why my opponent wanted to do this in this situation. They were trying to bring back the Phantom of Yubel. Well, maybe they were. I'm assuming they were trying to bring back the Phantom of Yubel to dodge the call by, which would be a good idea, except for the Summon Clause. Must be special summoned from the extra deck by shuffling the above cards. When it says must be special summoned by doing that, you know, method, it's not like other extra deck monsters where, okay, you summon them by their method, and then later, if they were properly summoned, you could summon them later. No, must be special summoned by shuffling the above cards, yeah. When that means that is the only way you can special summon this card, period. So, no Phantom of Yubel for them here. But, good effort on their part. Alright, so once this Soul Piercer resolves, I think we're going to end up just adding... Well, because no, it's a Wakaushi resolving, right? Yep. Oh, they conceded here. Oh, shoot, I thought this game went on longer. Did it really? I was so convinced this game went on longer. I thought oh, no, that's the next game I was thinking of. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so I guess that is where that one ends. But, yeah, so that is definitely important to remember with wording on cards. Is to, like, I know it can be a little confusing sometimes, but the best way is just interpret it literally. Like, you know, must be is very, very literal, right? Like, as in, that is the only way you can special summon this card. Like, if you're not doing it this way, it's not possible. So, that's like, I don't know. Maybe I should do a video about that at some point. Let me know if y'all want to see that. Like, how to read Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I guess, for lack of a better phrasing. I know there's probably that kind of content out there already, but I could also give a crack at it if you would like. But let's go take a look at the last duel here. So I actually remember what my last opponent's on. It's Burn. Oh yeah, I was saying at the start of that game and I never finished, but yeah, no. I think that Centurion being a popular deck actually makes a lot of sense for multiple reasons, right? One, I think people are finally at the point where they're getting pretty tired of Yubel. Yubel, which held a pretty consistent, like, almost 20% play rate for quite a while, is now down to, like, 13, almost 12%, I think. So, yeah, I think people are definitely wanting to try something new. You know, the Centurion archetype is already solid. Like, I think people, but including myself, I'm not saying, like, everyone but me slept on this deck. No, I also slept on Centurion. I read the cards and I was like, Naturia Horse is just better, right? Like, this is going to be, like, you know, a lower rogue deck. But honestly, I feel like Centurion's, not even just popularity, but power level is, like, not only currently tier 3, but even bordering on tier 2. When you also factor in that, you know, this deck gets multiple waves of future support that are, like, fairly relevant, that makes the deck quite a bit better, it's no surprise to see why people are kind of, like, turning to Centurion as their next go-to here. So, of course, I talk about Centurion as I'm making, like, exclusively super heavy plays here, but now this obviously also isn't like how you would normally do a super heavy, you know, combo line. But again, we're more of a hybrid deck, so we're using a lighter engine, so that's why we're doing it this way. Actually, getting to summon out the Boar Load here. I almost never actually summoned this card in this deck, but we did actually get the full kind of combo line here, so I get to grab a Motorbike, I get to Boar Load for the equip here, for the negate, activating the stand-up Centurion, going for the effect, pitching that Motorbike to place Trudea affecting a special, and then of course place the Primera. We're going to summon the Primera here. and go for the Wake Up Centurion to get the level 8 token. I do remember that I make a misplay here, and it's my secret target. I ended up going straight into the Crimson Dragon. Yeah, I guess my brain was just overcooked from the combo line. I actually remember, like, right as soon as I saw the Crimson animation, I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be summoning Auxilia. So, thankfully, I do at least still have a Crimson Dragon target for level 10. I guess I technically have one for level 8 as well. I could summon a Stardust here, but yeah, oopsie. It's supposed to be Auxilia into Blazar, of course, or Supernova. But yeah, so when I saw this to my opponent, I was like, no way. Are you kidding me? Spell-shattering arrow? What are the odds of having this card in this kind of a matchup? It's so good! Yeah, that's not only going to get rid of my field spell, but also, of course, my Pentascales. You know, which actually, to be fair, in this particular situation, isn't that bad. Funnily enough, if I had made Auxilia, I wouldn't really be able to go into Crimson Dragon here. So it kind of works out that I went into Crimson first by accident. Oh no, hang on. The stand-up wasn't destroyed. Oh, can't be destroyed because I control a Centurion card, of course. So, oh, but then I also wanted to point out about the Borlo. That's right. I was like, there's one other thing I wanted to say about that Spell-Shattering Arrow. So, yeah, it destroyed the equipped Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. But what a lot of people, a surprising amount of people actually don't know about Borlo's Savage Dragon is that it does not need to be equipped to get the Omni Negate. It just needs the counter, and it gets the counters when it becomes equipped, at the moment it becomes equipped. So this Borlo actually still has an Omni Negate on it. Now, if you negate the Borlo Dragon's effect, then the counters fall off. Then it can't use the Omni Negate anymore. So just keep that in mind if you ever face off against this card, that destroying the equip spell does not stop the Omni Negate. A lot of people actually think that, which is kind of funny. I'm going to maxi this couple of aces here, which is ultimately going to be a win-win for me, as the coin flip is going to, spoiler, land on tails. It was a spoiler, I said at the same time. So not only does it summon to my field and I get to draw, because my opponent activated the special summon effect, but then I get the 2 draws off of a couple of aces as well. So 3 back row, and then they're going to pass back over to me. I'm going to use Baron on one of them. They're going to chain Secret Barrel. In response, I'm going to throw out the Maxi, and then I'm going to intentionally Ash Blossom my own Maxi. I did this to reduce the number of cards in my hand, to reduce the damage, which only does it by 400 points, but at the same time, Maxi and Ash Blossom are not going to be useful for literally anything else in this matchup, so literally why not, right? Move to battle here, they're going to use Ring of Destruction. At this point, I'm like, I've got 2 Omnis, they have 2 back rows, this is easy enough. I was a little worried about this. The thing I was concerned about is if they had, like, a Battle Fader or something in hand. But then I thought about it and I was like, whatever. If they have Battle Fader, they get to, what, top deck 1 card. I'm at 4,300. There's not a card that can burn me for that much. Realistically, there's not a card they could have that would burn me for that much with only 1 card, right? So, but they don't have any kind of a Battle Fader or a Swift Scarecrow here. It's going to ultimately just be my win. So there we have it. That is going to be that game, as well as wrapping up this here video. So, I don't know if it'll be the next video or not. It'll either be tomorrow's or in a couple of days, but do look out for the Season 34 tier list is coming up soon. So we're going to be talking about the current metagame and just give my 2 cents on that. But for the time being, this is Hexlex. I am... Oh, I was about to do my whole outro spiel. Sometimes I just forget that. Like, oh yeah, I have this whole spiel pre-recorded. But, so yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download download that for free. And if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.